What's up, y'all? It's your girl Shay Renee, and yes, I'm starting a little late. I had to go over my friend's house and eat some good dinner, so I'm coming on with y'all a little late. But I am here to talk about part three of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 14, part three. Okay, y'all. I gotta be honest with y'all. I'm so glad that this thing is over. But let's get into it, shall we?
Can't ball in a life, man. Go on with it, go on with it. Do us. So we are coming here with a force. Yeah. Blessing the reap and we coursing on.
All right, y'all. So we on the late night creep over here on Shay Renee Online. So we're gonna get into this good old review. So the part three of the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion starts off with them still talking to that messy Queen Anthony. Child, listen, I don't understand why anybody in their right mind is even giving him 5 seconds of fame. Like, clearly, like Andy said throughout the rest of the episode, that he is just causing drama between the ladies for no reason, just because he just wants to be seen, child. And nobody got time for that. You're lying about working for Sheree. Then you lie. Now you saying Drew didn't pay you. Now apparently Drew ain't paid some chef. Listen, don't nobody care. Long as ain't nobody didn't pay me, I don't really care about any of that. And Anthony was really worried about his money. He shouldn't be going back and forth between these people talking crap. And that's it. And that's all on the Anthony. And I'm so glad that Andy was like, you know what? Okay, all right, hang up on him. I'm done. All right, we got what we need out of him. We're done. So it's safe to say Anthony will not be getting any more screen time on Bravo. Okay, so moving on. Drew also mentions that people were inboxing her about a sex tape with Sheree. And I'm like, Sheree, is Martell in this sex tape? Drew, never mind. I thought I wanted to see it, but I don't. Moving on. So Andy asked if Candy should get upset when people call her a hoe as much as Sheree gets mad when people say she doesn't pay people. And that was actually a very good question because Sheree keeps on throwing all this stuff out there about Candy. And for some reason, she has this alliance with Marlo this season talking about Candy. And I'm like, girl, in past seasons, Candy has been the one that has stood the test of time for you. So for you to, anytime Marlo was talking crap about Candy, Mom would have been the word. And I would have been like, well, I ain't getting into all that, child. That would have been a piece of drama that I wouldn't have involved myself in. I know that she tries to glorify herself as the OG bone collector, if you will. And, you know, about Sheree calling herself an OG, yes, you were on the show first, but do you really get OG status? Because you didn't really stay on the show long enough. If anything, Candy is more of an OG than you are because she's had umpteen more seasons than you and interacted with more of the ladies than you ever did. So I don't know if I really want to keep giving Sheree this self-proclaimed OG title, but whatever. If the viewers like it, I love it. But moving on, Drew brings up Sheree not paying for her portion of the party. And Sheree was like, well, no, because you want to pay for friends. So I'm not going to help you pay for friends. It wasn't about paying for friends. Y'all came up with this idea to do this birthday party. If you agreed to pay half, pay the piper. That's all I'm saying. Don't end up saying that you're not going to pay for something in the end when you said that you were going to pay for it from the beginning. But once you see the sticker price and now you going broke over this trying to be some designer that obviously isn't working out for you, I would have appreciated Sheree actually just being honest about it and saying, you know what, girl, I know I said that I wanted to help you out with this party, but I can't pay the five, okay, in the words of Martin, because I ain't got it. You know what? By the way, let me hold something because I'm trying to build a whole business over here, and all my coins is tied up in me trying to portray myself as the rich bitch that I'm not. Okay, and that's that. And I think Drew would have appreciated her actually telling the truth instead of her just not paying the girl. Like, not to say that Drew didn't have the money, because I can imagine that little party didn't really cost that much money in their world, but whatever, Sheree, you didn't get a girl her daggone money. So Drew calls herself an investor and she buys Sheree because Sheree ain't pay her coins, child. So then Andy asks about the background check on Ralph and what that was all about. And Sheree says she had nothing to do with that. And Drew said that was nasty and they shouldn't have done that. And Sheree shouldn't have condoned Fatum's behavior. And they talk about Drew using dog bones as props and throwing them at Fatum. And Sheree says Drew was stealing props from the sets that she was working on and using them for her reads. I'm like, child, now that was actually very funny. I will have to say that. But Sheree, you was dead ass wrong. My thing is, Fatum was a good little kiki, but she did go way too far. I'm not about to go doing background checks on people. That's just a bit extra, especially if I'm not in any immediate danger. Why am I going and doing background checks on people? That's just very scary and borderline get a life. Okay. And if I was Sheree, I would have been like, well, girl, that's a little bit too far. Why are you doing background checks on people? And I would have been on camera saying that so that I wouldn't be a part of any of the shenanigans. Okay. But moving on. So then they both say that they're not losing it. They go into asking about where the relationship between Sheree and Drew stands now. And Sheree says, well, I'm not losing any sleep. And Drew says, well, I'm actually well rested. As you can see, I look very good. So I'm definitely not losing any sleep over you. So child, they both had some what they call it that you put the kids to sleep with, melatonin, and they doing good. Okay, moving on. So they go on break and Sheree and Drew are still going back and forth about Anthony. And Andy says, listen, let's just put this to bed. This Anthony guy just seems like a bad guy. And both of y'all just need to leave his little messy queen behind alone. And I agree because I feel like they spent a little bit too much time on him. And basically all of their issues go back to Anthony. And he just, like I said, he just wanted to be on TV. Apparently, he was on Basketball Wives, starting trouble with those ladies too. So, y'all, at the moral of the story is y'all need to really be careful about who you allow in your circle and who you talking to and saying stuff to, because they just might come back to bite you in your bottom. Okay. So moving on, the guys come out and Andy asks Ross about parenting and fatherhood, basically talking about the whole situation with him and Sanya having opposing opinions on having another baby. And Ross says, at first I didn't really understand her position, but after talking to my mom and really talking to my wife and understanding her feelings, I was able to be more open to her feelings and understand where she was coming from. And I appreciate that. Sometimes it's a little frustrating when men have to go and talk to somebody else to actually hear what you're trying to evidently and very, efficiently communicate to them, but they just seem to not be able to hear it directly from you sometimes. So that can be frustrating as a wife to have to wait for somebody else to tell you the same crap I've been telling you over and over again. So at the end of the day, I'm glad he finally got it. And apparently they're on the same page because they're in the boat together with having this new baby. So Andy asked what brought it out of him to protect his wife when he said, don't F with my wife in Jamaica. And he says he just wanted to protect his wife. And then Andy asked about Kenya calling him aggressive. And he says he didn't think it was right. He thought it was a bit much for her to call him aggressive because that's not really, he's not that type of guy. He just wanted them to understand that he don't want nobody messing with his wife and talking trash. So I appreciated Kenya in this moment because she said that they actually had a chance to have a talk on the flight from back home from Jamaica. And she knows that he's not aggressive. She actually really appreciated, after thinking about it and really analyzing the situation, she actually admired him and appreciated him actually coming forth and protecting his wife, which is so big of Kenya because she could have sat in the negativity and really try to trash this man. But I really, really appreciate her being the bigger person and coming out and being forthcoming with an apology and saying, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. And that was just a little bit much. I understand you weren't trying to attack me. And I appreciate you being there for your wife. Because I think in some regard, Kenya wishes somebody was there to be there for her like that. And she even said that in the episode. So next, Andy asks Candy about her EGOT goals, and they do a highlight reel of her and her everything that went on with her in the season. And they talk about the vibrating panties, and how other people were buzzing, other folks, how Ralph was actually buzzing Sanya. And then he asked Aaron, how did you feel once you found out that Ralph was actually the one buzzing your wife's pussy hole? Okay. And Aaron was like, you know what? I actually didn't know until the season aired. So he didn't really say how he felt, but I'm pretty sure that Aaron was off some don't be trying to F with my wife with your device. Okay. So then they talked about Marlo talking about other people's relationships and not hers. Like she always going in on somebody else's marriage, but we don't never see sis with a man. Where's your man that everybody can critique and blast? Like you always on here talking about what somebody need to do in their relationship, but sis, you haven't even portrayed or seen we haven't seen you in a healthy relationship to even give any credibility to anything that you're saying. So they talk about that, and then of course she's on this apology tour, right? So she apologizes, saying, like Candy said, and I feel that was a little shady. She said, like Candy said, I'm not married, so I need to just stay out of people's marriages, so I apologize for saying anything like that. So she apologizes to Todd, even though she feels like every man cheats, but it wasn't her place to say anything to Todd about going back and forth with him like she did. So then they talk about Sheree saying the streets are talking about Todd cheating in their sexual life has been lacking, him and Candy. So, Andy asked, do you think that there's any truth in that? And he asked Todd this. Todd says the streets are always talking. Mama Joy said the streets is talking. This group always talking about the streets is talking, but ain't nothing came of it. So listen, I I ain't rocking. I ain't cheating on my wife, and it ain't out there for real. Ain't nobody came forth. So what else is going on? So then Sheree says she had a convo with Mark. That Andy basically asked, like, where did that come from? Did you really hear anything? And Sheree says, no, I didn't. I've never heard anything about Todd actually cheating on Candy. I was just literally piggybacking off of what Marlo said. So Sheree, basically, you over here being a daggone follower. You just saying, oh, okay, whatever Marlo says, I'm just gonna go ahead and be her wingman and say whatever. It's like, girl, this is supposed to be your girl. This girl has had your back. She's done things for you. She's been there for you. And then you're gonna sit up there and piggyback off of Marlo and you don't even believe it's true your daggone self. That don't make no sense. I'm not about to sit with nobody and be talking about my friends. I've been around people that where I'm cool with them, but they don't like one of my friends. But the minute that you start talking about my friend, oh no, sis, it's game over. Because we're not about to be doing that. Because I'm not even going to be in the room when you fix your lips to talk about my friend. And then I'm not even going to be talking to you. Because it's okay for you to not like it's cool. It's gonna happen. People are not gonna like other people in the group. But what you're not gonna do, and that's just not even just girl code, that's moral code. Don't be sitting around chit-chatting and whatnot with people and talking trash about people, especially when you don't even believe in what they're saying. It doesn't even make any sense. So moving on. Sure, they talk about Kayla and Riley's lifestyle being different and why Todd seemingly makes Kayla struggle. And Todd says, listen, Kayla and Riley grew up very differently. Kayla grew up in the Bronx. So I have to raise her very differently. Like the things that I'm teaching her and the things that I'm instilling in her is going to make her a better person in the future. And basically what he's saying is Kayla going to be able to stand on her own 2 feet, whether she rich or regular. Riley is going to have a hard time because she's never had to really do anything on her own. Candy doesn't make her do anything on her own. And I think that's a common misconception and a common misstep with people that are affluent, that have children, and they grow up and they give them everything. They don't make them earn or work for anything. And that is going to be a problem in these kids' lives because eventually they're going to grow up, and if they lose their money, God forbid, they're not going to know how to build up and do anything on their own. It's not like they were shooting in the gym with their parents when they were getting their money. So it's a totally different situation between Kayla and Riley, but I can see where Candy can actually benefit from making Riley sweat a little bit, because yes, Riley is in school becoming a lawyer, but how much is she really going to use this lawyer degree? Is she going to, when the going gets tough or rough, be like, you know what, I don't have to be a lawyer, my mother is a multimillionaire, so I can go kick back and do whatever I want? Not to say that Riley is going to do that, but that's common with rich kids. They just lean on their inheritance or what they're bound to get from their parents. So I can appreciate what Todd is doing with Kayla, because Kayla's going to be able to survive regardless. And I hope that he does the same thing with Ace and Blaze. And maybe Riley can take a pointer or two from his parenting. So moving on, they talk about the piano lesson, which is a play that Candy is putting on in New York, and she's producing, and Todd is actually a producer on the play as well. So yet another venture that they're doing together. So she may get closer to the T in the EGOT. Okay. So then they talk about Candy saying she doesn't want Todd to remarry if she passes. And she talks about a situation with her great grandmother and how her great grandfather, how her great grandmother passed and he remarried. And there was a whole situation where the new woman controlled all the funds and whatnot. And I'm like, Candy, did they even have as much money as you do? But then again, if they didn't have as much money as she did, that may even be more of a fuel to the fire for her, because she probably like, they ain't even have as much money as I did, and it was a bunch of foolishness. So here's the thing. Yes, you've accrued all of this financial wealth, which is absolutely amazing. But when you dead and gone, sis, you can't do nothing with that. You can't spend your money in heaven. Okay. So whatever he decides to do with the coinage, just make sure before you leave this earth, you write it out for your children. Okay. If he marries somebody, the money that he has, he can do whatever he wants with it. And whatever little broad he ends up being with or married to, you shouldn't make no never mind. You should know that the person that you married, you should hope and pray that he finds somebody that's going to treat him well as your children. And that's the only thing that you can really hope and pray for. You can't control this man's life when you dead and gone. I'm sorry. I didn't agree with that when Candy said it. And, you know, I love Candy, but that was a bit selfish. And I feel like her money, she's a hard worker, but I think that Mama Joyce may have instilled a little negativity in her as far as her money. It's like she's always, everything is based upon her money. And girl, you can't take the money with you, sis. So don't worry about what he do with it when he gone. Just write the kids a good little chunk of change. So no matter what he do or whatever bird he ends up with, they'll still be good. And that's all you can do. And Todd made a comment. He said, yeah, you know, I was kind of taken aback because I thought she was just saying that because she just loved me so much and she just doesn't want me to be with anybody else. But I guess that ain't the case. So he said that jokingly, but I feel like behind every joke is some truth. Okay. Let's check out these comments. Linda Gamble says, good evening, Shay Renee. Wanda Marshall. What's up, Wanda Marshall? Y'all, I got to give a shout out to Wanda because Wanda is amazing. She sends me things to help me get some tea, and I appreciate you, sis, okay? Because you are really helpful in me getting these reviews out and getting some information out to the people. So kudos to Wanda. I truly appreciate you, okay? Wanda says, good evening, Shay Renee. Good evening, Wanda. Miss B says, good evening, all y'all. Miss B has entered the building. Okay. Y'all, I love when my regulars be on here. Linda Gamble, Miss B, Miss Wanda, what's my girl? Jessica with a K. I don't want to leave anybody out, but Slick 82. I love y'all. Y'all keep me going. I just want to say that. Miss B says, I'm glad Riley is studying something because I used to think she was pretty spoiled and pampered. Perhaps Todd did bring that positivity on the wheels. Mama Joyce is all about the money for her and hers. Absolutely. Mama Joyce is all about herself regardless. The way she was talking about, yeah, you should just leave it to Riley because the other kids have a dad. Okay, but if the other dad is living and don't have no money, how are the kids going to thrive and survive? Like, Mama Joyce is just selfish, and I hope that Candy doesn't take that aspect from her, but she is being a little selfish with that comment. But yeah, Riley does. I think she does need to learn some responsibility, and I don't think that they are doing a good job of helping her to learn such, given how she acts on this show. But she is a pretty smart girl, so hopefully She is definitely going to be diligent in this career that she's going to school to obtain, and becomes the next Johnny Cochran. I'm gonna pray that over her life, child, because I would love to see it. So in the next scene, they discuss Drew and her highlight reel for the season, and viewers ask if Ralph really fired the assistant. And he said he did, and he needs to respect his wife's decisions, and he doesn't feel the love he has for his wife was really reflected in the season because of his actions. And you know what? I feel like throughout this entire segment, Ralph was really trying to redeem himself as far as his image with Drew this entire season, because he looked bad. There ain't no sugarcoating it or tampering it. He looked bad. Okay. It looked bad. Like, it looks like he doesn't include her in any decisions. It looks like he just towers over her and expects her to just go ahead and crumble and do whatever he says. And I think, but I was hoping that by him watching back his actions, he would learn to do better. So I'm glad to see that he's getting something from this marital counseling that they're doing. And hopefully this is something that continues to help them thrive together, because he really was making Drew look like a daggone fool on this episode, these shows. And I'm just like, ooh, child. Drew, I don't know what it is. I don't see it for Ralph. Everybody talking about how handsome he is, but looks are in the eyes of the beholder, child. When your actions stink and you ugly, that overpowers any beauty that you could ever display. Okay. So they talk about the guys laughing off the text and the massage situation. And the guys say they didn't hear the wife's perspective. So they thought it was pretty funny. And Aaron said, I don't know, I still think it's funny. And Todd says, nope, I agree with Drew. Whatever you say, Drew, goes. And so he was just kind of laughing it off. But I mean, the guys at the end of the day, they try to stay out of the women's drama period anyway. So of course they gonna think it's laughable and laugh about it amongst themselves, because they probably think everything that the women argue about is really ridiculous. So a viewer asked, why was everyone coming for Drew and drop it with Drew? I'll tell you why, because she ain't dropped nothing. That it is what it is. Like, I don't know why everybody want to play these little games. As a person that's in fitness, I'm a group fitness instructor. I'm also a holistic health coach. There, I thought it was absolute foolishness. Drew got up on this TV and tried to play in our faces. Girl, you got the mommy makeover, which is cool, which I don't know who your doctor was, but I really wanted to send her to somebody else, because I didn't think what they did anything, honestly. And that's just my opinion. I'm not body shaming, sis. But, you know, Drew needs to really take her diet and exercise seriously. And from the looks of her body changes, it didn't look like she was doing that. So gradually, I mean, respectfully, the women looked at her as such. They were like, girl, you still looking thicker than a Snicker. So how you saying? And then she was saying she lost 40 pounds and some great crazy number. She's not. First of all, Drew wasn't that big anyway. It's not like she was some plus size person, right? Let's just start there. It's not like she's huge. So for Drew to lose 40 pounds, it would be very noticeable, because she's still kind of small. Okay. So that's just the reality. We got to play in the reality of these situations. Okay. So when you say you lost 40 pounds and then you sitting over here with Sheree, who has a bomb body and works out every day and eats right, of course she gonna look at you and be like, girl, I know you been lying. Okay. Cause I was looking at her like, girl, I know you fucking lying. Okay. So listen, the drop it with Drew situation, I get it. I don't think that they should have done so much trying to look into her business, if you will. But she should have just said, listen, I'm basically a glorified brand ambassador. You don't own the business. You're not writing the meal plans. You're not creating the workouts, because you're not in any type of way anybody's personal trainer or fitness coach or enthusiast, if you will. And not to say that she couldn't at the size that she's at, because I think it's a common misconception in the fitness world that you have to be skinny or bulky and muscular to be able to teach people about their health and their health and wellness. You don't. She could very well start where she's at, because people like to see people that are frankly where they are and help them. But Drew, come on, sis. Let's not even play about that. So then Drew felt like, so Drew gave her opinion. She said she felt like the ladies were kind of coming down on her. And Candy says she felt like there were just clearly some missing parts, which we all can see. And she said, well, I would have liked to get some constructive criticism from you guys and really more so uplifting. And if you feel like I'm doing something wrong in business, hey, help me out. Be honest with me. Just tell me the truth. But I felt like the support wasn't really there. And I can see that. I feel like the ladies, instead of them snickering behind her back, like Drew said they were, they should have just been forthcoming with her and been like, girl, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you, but you talking about you lost 40 pounds. It don't look like it, sis. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit you with the God's honest truth. Okay. Some man right. Okay. And the measurement around your waist ain't adding up to the numbers. All right. And that's just that. And then she talks about Sheree calling her a busted can of biscuits. And Sheree apologizes for that, as she should have, because though it was funny, it was a bit much. So then Andy asked Ralph about the things Sheree said in her confessionals and all the stuff that she said about him. And he said he was basically upset that she called him gay, knowing that he obviously isn't gay. He's married to a woman. And why do people continue to use that as a derogatory statement towards men? And I agree, because I feel like if somebody is gay, they're gay. Women need to stop doing that. Stop, because that's really people's lifestyle. So for you to call somebody gay that's not gay, you're making a mockery of the sexuality as a whole, and it's not cute. If you are upset with a man, or you got to find a better read. We got to stop saying, oh, and your dick wasn't good, oh, and you gay anyway, or this and that and the third. Child, it's dry, or your dick was small. Yeah, we got to come up with something new, ladies, because this stuff is just really getting old. So of course, Sheree's on the apology tour right along with Marlo, so she apologizes to Ralph as well. So then he said, you're carrying the message on and I don't appreciate it. And she again, she apologized about the dildo comment, obviously, as well. So then Drew and Sheree end up yelling back and forth about Anthony's comments. And Drew says, you need to be focused on she ain't done still. Child. I about almost wanted to search Sheree's website to see if it was still up, child, because that was hilarious. I'm like, girl, Sheree, everybody is clowning you, sis. Like, I even saw y'all, Funky Geneva went on Sheree nonstop for 7 minutes straight on Fox Soul. Okay. Y'all got to see that. I might have to even tag the video down below. But he made some good points, because Sheree, listen, let's be honest about She by Sheree. Okay, we're gonna break it down real quick. Like, the reason why Sheree doesn't have the garments that were shown on the episode that went down the runway allegedly is because she didn't pay the designer. She by don't pay. Okay, you didn't pay the designer. The designer, allegedly, this person, which I saw a posting from a person, I don't know if this is true, but he went on Instagram and he made a whole post about, yeah, she'll never see these designs because she owes me $2,500. I did these designs 3 weeks before her show to help her out to get some things down the runway, which hence makes sense because she hurried up. She was working on trying to get this stuff made so quickly so they can get on the runway. And the stuff that he designed was dope. Like, absolutely amazing. And I'm like, girl, find the $2,500 and pay this man, because that's really not a lot in your world. It shouldn't be anyway. Pay him, get those designs, and get that stuff on the website, because I know you lying if you think I'm gonna pay $120 for a She Buy Anything t-shirt. And apparently during Funky Geneva's rant, he said that the reason why Sheree is charging so much for these t-shirts is because she's hand signing them all. Now, girl, Sheree, don't play with us. Don't play with us, Sheree. Okay? Because if your website was crashing the way that you said it was when this reunion came out, that's too many orders. Your wrist will be broken. If it's all these orders that you said you got, you're not signing anything. Okay. And even if you did sign a t-shirt, girl, your signature is not worth $120. I'm so sorry, Sheree. I love you, but not that much. Okay. I'm not even paying a hundred. Well, I might. I would pay $120 for maybe Jill Scott, Beyonce, Chris Brown, if you will. I'm not paying Candy. I would pay $120 for Candy signature, but I'm not paying $120 for a She by Sheree signature. I'm so sorry. So you can keep those Gildan t-shirts and shove them up your backside. Okay. And that's that on that. All right. So Sheree says she jokes talking about drop it with shades, talking about drop it with who? Please drop it. So they move on. A viewer asked Ralph, what would you have changed about the dinner with Drew? And he said he would have done better by having better intentions and made a better approach by understanding his wife's heart. And I said, you know what? I can appreciate him saying that because it looks like it's really looking like Ralph saw himself throughout the season and he saw that what he was giving was not given. Okay. So he didn't want to further embarrass his wife. So he's on an apology tour for her throughout this entire reunion. So I see that. So Drew says she knows she triggers him, which I can appreciate her admitting that because she gives me poke the bear. Like she is that nagging little gnat that's going to do whatever she can to poke, and prod until she gets a reaction out of you. And I think she does that with Ralph. And Ralph just wants to stick it back to her harder than what she's giving it to him. That's just like if somebody slapped you, you're going to still them in the face. You're not going to slap them back. You're going to try to hurt them worse than they try to hurt you. So it seems like that's an ongoing battle with the two of them, and they're trying to navigate that through therapy. So Drew says she knows she triggers him and he does really nice things for her and she appreciates it, but she just wants to be heard throughout that process, through even with all the nice things he does. And Ralph says he feels like he needs to adjust his attitude to prevent the gaslighting, which I can appreciate this new open eyes view that they have of their relationship. So Drew says there's a different connection with biological. They ask about Ralph's book and, you know, his relationship with Josiah. And Drew says there's a different connection with biological kids, but his intention is to raise Josiah to be a great man in this world. Good little rehearsed comeback, Drew. Just say you don't think he treats Josiah the same as he treat them other children, okay? Moving on. They talk about Ralph not including her on writing the book, and Andy asks, what if she didn't want him to write the book? And he says that would be valid, but he says he's writing the book for 3 reasons. It's about maybe you could possibly have the father could have been deceased. That's why you decided to adopt them, or you're their stepfather. The father doesn't want anything to do with that child, and he struggled. And then basically he struggled on the 3rd reason. I'm like, Ralph, did you write this book? Did you write it or did you have a ghostwriter? Did you have your assistant that you fired write the book and you don't know what she wrote? Because it's given you don't even know what you're talking about, sir. It's giving that you don't know what you're talking about because you don't even know what the heck you wrote about. You gave 3 reasons, but you said 3, but you only gave 2 reasons. I don't know. Maybe you and Drew need to read the book together because obviously you don't know what you wrote. Y'all need the cliff notes. Get the cliff notes. And maybe next time you'll be able to answer that question a little better. Moving on. He said he ultimately isn't writing the book about Drew and her son. He just wants to talk. And by the way, her son, I didn't like that. Why he gotta be her son? Okay. You could have said our son. That would have made you look a little better. But then you called him her son. But yet you're writing a book about him. Interesting. But anyway, he says it's really about navigating being a father. And he even says that the guys are actually going on a book tour with him. And Todd jokes that it's going to start in Tampa. I'm like, child, why did you say that, Todd? Let's get into these comments. So Terry Lynn says it's most likely true because she never disputed it. Good evening. What's up, Terry Lynn? What's going on? Wanda Marshall says $149 I heard for one t-shirt. Oh no. I'm not paying $120. I damn sure ain't paying $149. Wanda Marshall says she went down. Okay, so she went down to the one. She went down to the 120 from the 149. Ridiculous and despicable. Ain't nobody paying that. Terry Lynn says, "How you don't know number three?" Right, right, Terry. Like you wrote the book, right? Why you don't know what your reasons are for writing the book, sir? And you the one said three reasons. You put your own. You stuck your own foot in your ass. Okay, child, he full of crap. So next they do a highlight reel of Marlo and Candy's feud. Okay. So Candy apologizes to Michelle Obama saying, oh, I gotta say this right now, Michelle. Listen, I didn't mean to be I didn't mean to use your name in a negative light at all. I was just basically saying how, you positive and all that, but I'm just gonna go low. I can't do what you do and go high. Okay. And I appreciate her saying that. But and then Andy jokes saying, "Well, Michelle Obama tweeted us," and Candy was like, "Oh God." So I thought that was funny. And then the viewer asked about Candy not doing anything for the community, like Marlo said, and how she feels about that. And Marlo immediately apologizes and says she was just talking, and she knows that Candy does a lot for the community, but when she gets mad, she just says anything and says anything out of her mouth. And I'm like, Marlo, I'm gonna need you to get better at your reads, because just because you're mad at somebody doesn't mean that you just make up shit out the side of your ass. Okay, girl, what are you talking about? You sitting up here talking about Candy don't do nothing for the community, and just like the viewer said, what have you done for the community, sis? Besides your community puss, that's all you've done for the community. Exercise that veg. And you don't want to talk about that because that's what you've done. And if you haven't done that, talk about those aspects of your life and what you've actually done to better yourself. Because until you're more open about your life, besides you kicking your nephews out and your mama, obviously not being in your life or whatever, which we can appreciate you open up those aspects. But because you talk about everybody else's relationship so much and you don't dive into your relationships, right? Even though we got to the innards of why you don't really trust men or whatever, but you haven't addressed what people ultimately think you do in relationships. Use what you got to get what you got. And if that's not true, show us what you do. Okay? That's all I want to know, because there's no way you're going to pay me to think that the archive is affording you the lifestyle that you live. Absolutely not. With the age of the C19 and all this stuff going on, I guarantee there's not so many people willing to come and buy and wear some clothes that somebody else done had on. I don't care how many dry cleaners you send this stuff to. And then if you're catering to rich people, right? Wouldn't they just as soon be able to go buy this stuff themselves? And are these garments that you're getting that unique? I would have liked to really dive more into that, because at the end of the day, with you being so secretive about your high society lifestyle that you keep on trying to drum down our throats and make us believe that you have, it still rolls down to us thinking you want to call Candy a slut in a hoe box, but she rich. We see how Candy get her money. We don't see how you get yours. So it leads people to believe that you're using that box. And like Kenya said, the square reader between your legs. So they around you more than we do. Obviously, there has to be some truth to this, allegedly. So listen, I don't give a damn, but don't talk about other people if you ain't gonna talk about yourself. And that's that on that. So a viewer says, why does Candy have to be a good friend to Marlo and Sheree, but they don't do the same for her? And you know what? That irritated me when they were talking about how Candy is not there for them and this, that, and the third. I don't see y'all being there for Candy. Are y'all supporting her and anything that she's doing without it being recorded on the show? I don't see y'all coming in. Did y'all go to her play that she has out now? Do y'all go and eat at OLG frequently? Do y'all go buy clothes from Tags and wear it? Stop me when you've done something. Do y'all go to Blaze and have dinner and do a review and take a couple pictures? No, you don't. No, you don't. Do y'all buy her sex toys and talk about it on your pages with how amazing it was with your partners? No, you don't. So stop me when y'all are being a good friend to her. And it doesn't even have to be in business. Do y'all take her out to dinner? Do y'all go out and do things with her? Do y'all call her and ask her how she's doing? Do y'all promote the Shy when she's on there on your pages and say, hey, my girl Candy gonna be premiering on the Shy tonight? I don't see none of y'all doing that. So stop me when you let me know how good of a friend you're being to Candy. Because I can talk about a number of things that Candy has done to help both of you. So y'all, it's just crazy to me how people always want more out of somebody than they're willing to give. And that's actually ridiculous. Okay. So Sheree says she feels like Candy should have come to her instead of going to Drew with the whole situation with Anthony and his comments or whatever about her not paying. And Candy brings up her doing the same with Kim, saying Candy wants her box. And it's the same thing. And Sheree didn't even address it. Instead of her saying, you know what, you're right. I didn't even think about that. I apologize. Instead of her doing that, she continues on in her foolishness saying, well, you've done it more than one time. So, I'm like, you don't have no other excuses, girl. Bye. Sheree, shut up. You a stuttering Stanley. You always over there, and you can tell when Sheree ass is lying because she get the stuttering. Well, you've done it again. I mean, you done the same thing. Sheree, shut up. Shut up. Always lying. Okay, I can't stand a lying, but I can't stand a lying chick. I cannot. So then a viewer asks, how does Todd feel about everyone saying he's below Candy's tax bracket? And Todd says, well, everyone in this room is below Candy's tax bracket. And then Sheree says, well, not Andy. I'm like, but you know what, y'all? Let's just see. Let's see what Andy Cohen's net worth is. Let's just do it. Andy Cohen net worth 2022. Okay. No, I don't want to. Okay, so Andy Cohen's net worth is 50 million. Okay. Kandi Burruss. Kandi Burruss. I can't spell tonight. Kandi net worth. Candy's net worth is said to be 30 million. Okay. So I guess Andy Cohen was the rich bitch in the room, okay? But still, Candy got more money than all you heifers, and that's who's in question. So Todd was absolutely right. So Andy asked about Marlo coming for Ralph and his refusal to adopt Josiah. And Marlo says, you know what? I apologize for that. I probably went a bit too far, but it was just a bit triggering for me for what I went through personally in my life. And I'm like, it's so triggering for you, but you sat up there and gave away your nephews for 30 days and allegedly more than 30 days. So, girl, you don't need to be triggered by anything because all this, get some help. That's what you need to do because I'm so tired of Marlo using her childhood as an excuse to go on people. It's not even funny. It's at this point, we all look at you and feel bad. It feels sad for you. Not sad for you in a good way either. Sad, like, please shut up and get some attention because you're seeking attention in the wrong way. And that's what it is. Marlo wants somebody to kiss her butt. She wants somebody to pacify her like she's some little baby. And that's just not going to happen. Grow up, sis. You a grown ass woman. Ain't nobody about to have you suck. Nobody's going to be suckling at your teat. It's not going to happen. Okay? Grow up and move on. So Ralph says he wasn't expecting to be put on blast. And Andy asks, why did she bring Todd in the mess with her and Candy? And she apologizes for that too. Oh, the apology tour continues. Okay. Whatever, Marlo. We're not buying it. I'm going to see how she act next season if she gets another season. Andy asks about calling Candy a country bumpkin. And Todd says he never said that. He was like, I never called my wife a country bumpkin. And then he says, but you did pay to get your way into this group, talking about Marlo. And Marlo says, well, how exactly did I pay to get into the group? And Todd says, I mean, do you really want me to say it? Because I was in production. I was behind the scenes. If you remember, I know how you got in this group. And he talks about how Marlo paid for her own flight, her own accommodations on the Africa trip just because she was so pressed to be around the ladies, and she was that pressed to be on the show. Which, you know what? At the end of the day, you got to pay a little to get a lot. So she paid to get on the show, and obviously that brought her to where she is today, and now she's getting a higher paid salary on the show. So, you know what? Kudos to her. Sometimes you got to get a foot in the door to make sure that you can close it and lock it and keep yourself in. So, you know what? I ain't mad at her for doing that. If that's what she had to do, whatever. But it is thirsty. But your thirst was quenched because now you're holding a peach. So good for you. So Andy asked, does she really think Candy isn't worldwide? Now, y'all, I about went off on this part. She's talking about, well, of course we know Candy is worldwide, but there's going to be places that, like in Paris and London, I'm going to be able to get into places that Candy isn't. Marlo, girl, if you gonna take your raggedy ragamuffin tail on somewhere, you ain't about to get. Yeah, you'll be able to get in the brothel. That's about it. Okay, you'll get in there before Candy. That's exactly where you're going. If Candy Burris shows up to anybody's showroom, they know that sis. All they have to do is Google sis, and they know that she has money. They're going to take her to the back rooms to get in there and buy whatever she wants, because why? They know she has the coins. You, sis, got to call ahead and tell somebody that you're coming, I'm sure. And you probably have to be edified by somebody else. So stop it with the nonsense of you can go to Paris and London and all that. Girl, bye. You can probably barely navigate around Atlanta with somebody, and somebody know who you are. So girl, take going on, because you always doing some things that's strange for change. That's probably where you do it best at, is in Paris and London. So if that's the reason why you can get in the back rooms, yeah, of course you're gonna get in there before Candy, because Candy don't gotta pull her pants down to get down. Okay, girl, bye. Ain't nobody weren't listening to that crap that you talking about. You want to be famous so bad, and you're so mad that somebody is better than you, doing better than you. So what? Learn from her. Utilize the fact that you have access to her to do better with yourself. I'm just so sick and tired of Marlo. I don't know what to do, because she's so delusional. It's the delusions of grandeur are stifling. So then she says, she says, versus Candy's music situation, of course Candy will probably get into those doors faster than her. Girl, Candy gonna get it anywhere faster than you, and you'll be standing in the line saying, I know her, can I get in with her? That's the only way you gonna get in. So Andy talks about the chicken at the airport and how it mended their relationship, and Candy speaks up and says, you know what, I have to say this. It wasn't just the chicken. It was the fact that Marlo and Todd had mended fences, and Todd had basically let it go. So it's like, I thought about it. Why am I sitting over here still mad at her? And I'm mad at her because of what she said about my husband. So if my husband has let it go, then I'm going to go ahead and let it go too and move on. Which I can appreciate Candy for that, because Candy Child, she's a Taurus, and that's a bull over there. They love to hold a grudge, child. Okay. You will be apologizing until the day you under the ground, and they still won't forgive your behind. But she forgave her, and I can appreciate that. So then Andy sends the guys off, and Aaron says, well, before we leave, Andy, one more thing. Don't fuck with my wife. And I thought that was so hilarious, and that was actually really cute to me. So let's get into y'all comments over here. Oh, y'all just a going, child. Wanda says, Shay, I was asking you, did she go down on the price? Oh, yeah. On her website, I saw the shirts are $120. I didn't see $149. So maybe she did go down on the price just a little bit. So yeah, I saw 120. But if she may have gone back up to 149 if somebody took the bait, who knows? Miss B says, maybe allegedly, in my opinion, Miss B, you are funny and you slick. I see what you're doing there. In my opinion, Marlo might be a front business washing money for those crooks she knew in them streets. Girl, I might be watching too much Raising Cane, and it happened on there. Child, listen, okay? Clothing companies are the way to go to be washing some money. So, in my opinion, allegedly, I agree. Wanda Marshall says, yes, Marlo gets on my nerves. Yes, girl, she gets on my damn nerves too. I would not be disappointed if I don't see her next season. Wanda Marshall says, that's funny. Wanda Marshall says, now you know that didn't make no sense. Yeah, her talking about this worldwide stuff with Candy and her and girl, go sit down somewhere. Miss B says, I agree, Wanda. She should not try to act like Candy is not established. Right. Like Candy is way more established than all of them on that set. I don't even know what's their problem. Miss B says, I agree, Wanda. She should not try to act like Candy is not okay. Wanda Marshall says yes. Iverson Money says you can clean money through charities also. Ooh, and you are right. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So moving on, we are at the end of the reunion, and Andy says the season ended positively with a great ending. They talk about positive takeaways, and saying it says the group is full of vibrant, incredible women, so she wants to be able to bond and move forward with the ladies. Basically, she hoping that she get another damn season, which saying you, I don't know, sis. You might get it just off of Aaron's little comment before he left off the stage, because that was cute and clever. Drew says it's been challenging to be vulnerable, but she wants people to have grace with her, and she feels there is a love and a sisterhood amongst the women. Marlo says, which I think you said something about grace last season, Drew. How much grace you need, sis? I need you just say your grace at dinner. That's about all the grace you about to get with these ladies, okay? Marlo says she's learned to think before she speaks because the tongue is powerful, and she learns she needs to deliver the message better. Maybe she should send it in a text or something before she says it. Girl, bye, Marlo. I'm not even going to address you anymore because I think you've talked enough this season. Kenya says she can take away resilience. She's learned that you can come back from having a dark period in your life, but you can come back with more of a capacity to love, which I think Kenya did very well this season. I think Kenya came back in she was in a more positive light. The only negative things that she experienced was having to go back and forth with Marlo because she's so thirsty to get attention in the wrong ways that she targeted Kenya the entire season, which was the wrong thing to do. Now, people may argue that Marlo made the season actually entertaining, but was it? Like maybe through the first half of the season, it was like, okay, we had to get something jump started here. But then as the season went along, she became very annoying and hard to watch. So hopefully that'll be different next season, especially with Portia being said to be coming back, child, which you know she ain't gonna tell the truth. So we're gonna see how she meshed with the ladies and her old man husband. Candy says, I'm taking away, bitch, I'm worldwide and I'm owning it. As you should, boss lady, because you are a boss in your own right. And don't you let none of these bras take that away from you because you've worked your tail off and you deserve it, quite frankly, Miss Purse. Okay. And Sheree says, being an OG child, she want to tell everybody she OG so daggone bad. Like that's the only leg she got to stand on at this point. Girl, I'd be surprised if we see you next season because the way you like to hopscotch seasons, I don't know. Child, please, OG. Whatever. Sheree says being an OG in this group of girls shows sisterhood, and she feels like this season the ladies put together have shown a lot of sisterhood, and they've established a really good bond. And she loved the support from the ladies, no matter what they're going through. Even with Drew, they've all supported her and her business efforts and everything that she's tried to do, even with relationships, all that stuff. Then Andy brings out She by Sheree shirts, hats, and a bag. And Andy puts on the sweatshirt and over his suit, and it's over. It is over. Thank God. Because I am this season, I'm so glad it's over. I I highly anticipate the next season, and I really hope that it's going to be much better because this right here, very underwhelming. Okay. Let's get into y'all comments. Miss B says, wait, hold on. Miss B says, wait, Martell did not show up to this reunion after all that drama. Girl, no, he didn't. He wasn't on that child. The blogs talking about he was gonna be on the daggone reunion. That fool was not on the reunion because you want to know why them contracts. You cannot be on one network and try to go on another network and be on a show. It just doesn't work that way. That may be why, they're saying that Martell, Melody, and Tisha took OWN TV out of their bios. I don't know what they got going on, where maybe they're moving on to do different things after this season. Who knows? But maybe Martell is trying to open himself up to have more leeway to film with Sheree on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But at the end of the day, I don't think Martell is going to be on the Housewives of Atlanta, because I don't think Martell and Sheree are together. So we'll go from there. Wanda Marshall says, I heard he was in the back when he called. Yeah, because he was in New York with her. So I don't doubt that he was in the back. I just feel like they just didn't film him, obviously, because he's on a whole nother network and another contract. So obviously they're not going to film him. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens next season, child. But like I said, I don't even think they together, because they haven't posted anything together. They're not talking about each other anymore. It just seems like that situation was very short lived. Sheree got some good D and went on about her business. Ms. B says he can be on there. Martell was a housewife. Miss B. Now you know you wrong for that, but that is damn funny. You are hilarious. Oh my God. Iverson Money says, the show needs to return to them shopping and lunching more. That's what we loved. And all they do is go from house to house talking about one another. And this is true. I want to see them living the rich person lavish lifestyle. That's what I want to see. That's what the whole Housewives franchise was basically built around. And we've gone so far away from that, and the drama has surpassed what it was originally based upon. I want to see people living like I can't. Well, can't right now, because I'm gonna speak it into existence for all of us to live like this. We're gonna manifest it, okay? But until we get there, I want to see how y'all do it so I can know what to do when I get there, okay? Wanda Marshall says, I hear the men don't get paid on the Housewives, and you are right, they do not. The only show where the men get paid is the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and I think that's because they are so influential on the show. Like, the show is really based around everybody. Like, the men get in the mix of the drama too. Y'all, so my phone died, so I had to get on my other phone. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please, please, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody else that watched this show too. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.